Let's read this first story from the New York Post. Ladies and gentlemen, Putin demands unfriendly countries use rubles to buy Russian oil and gas. Russia was hit with crippling economic sanctions after it launched a massive military campaign against Ukraine a month ago. But efforts to isolate Russia economically are complicated by the fact that the European Union is dependent on Moscow for oil and natural gas that is used to heat homes during the winter. With the financial noose tightening and the European Union split on whether to sanction Russia's energy sector, Putin hit back with a clear message. If you want your gas, buy our currency. Russia will continue, of course, to supply natural gas in accordance with volumes and prices fixed in previously concluded contracts, Putin said in a televised meeting with top government ministers. Imagine being NATO and the EU and not seeing this coming. This is Joe Biden's efforts. I gotta blame Joe Biden for this one. I mean, this is his administration in the United States. Very much so the U.S. leads NATO. Vladimir Putin effectively getting off the petrodollar, requiring Europe to buy oil and gas in rubles. It's breaking the one thing the United States actually has control over, or what the one thing that we actually get value out of, and it's that we control our own currency, which we make everybody buy to buy oil. So this is going to be a global fracturing. A global parallel economy is emerging. Already we heard that Saudi Arabia was in discussions with China to start buying oil in yuan. Threats of World War III, chaos, prices going through the roof. How you guys doing?
I was gonna say, it's part of the plan, definitely. I mean, besides inflation and like the supply chain breaking up, and there's transgender swimmers beating out women, and we're having gay pride parades in children's schools, teaching them how to tuck their scrotum to their butthole, and children's medical hospitals. True story.
Big sidestep from Vladimir Putin and gas prices.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, besides all that, obviously, the best thing that I've heard all year is that our money might lose all of its value and it might actually be worthless. And I know this is on purpose because, I mean, if you think about destabilization of Venezuela, talk about the invasion of Libya, you even talk about a little bit what was going on in Syria and what happened in Iraq, when leaders try to take the oil trade off the US dollar, if they try to do anything, like the global currency or the African currency in Libya, I mean, you end up getting sodomized and murdered in your own country.
Saddamized.
Yeah, Saddamized. Hung, yeah. I know, you get hung, you get let out. And so, I mean, if for the last 100 years, especially the last few decades, if somebody tried to do this, we basically just wiped them out. It makes me wonder if we're going to allow this to happen, specifically not just with the ruble, but also with Saudi Arabia and specifically the yuan in China. Is this part of Klaus Schwab's World Economic Forum idea to sort of destabilize one empire and create a trifecta in this movement?
People give that guy way too much credit. I think he's a bad guy. I think
not him, but the World Economic Forum is an agreement among nations to kind of see us, like a lot of bureaucrats, specifically like in Washington, obviously don't see America as the greatest country in the world. We're like a country, and there's this movement towards a central currency.
Haven't you read about the liberal world order?
The liberal world order.
Yeah. You're not familiar.
Enlighten me.
Let me see if I can pull it up.
Yeah, I'm like, so there's another world order that we need to be paying attention to.
Too many world orders.
No. You need to understand, when they're talking about the new world order, they're talking about the end of the liberal world order and the emergence of a new world order. So this is the Council on Foreign Relations website, certified by NewsGuard, 100 out of 100. What is the liberal world order? After World War II, the deadliest conflict in human history, countries sought to ensure the world would never again devolve into such horrific violence. World leaders created a series of international organizations and agreements to promote global cooperation on issues including security, trade, health, and monetary policy. The United States has championed this system known as the liberal world order for the past 75 years. During this time, the world has enjoyed unprecedented peace and prosperity. I would dispute that last sentence, but I wouldn't dispute everything else they're saying. The Council on Foreign Relations overtly says, after World War II, global cooperation from powerful world leaders creating international organizations sought to secure the planet, creating policies on security, trade, health, and monetary policy. When Joe Biden says that there's going to be a new world order, this is what the new world order means. When Bush said it, when H.W. Bush, when Clinton, when Hillary Clinton, when they all say this, what they're saying is the liberal world order will come to an end and there will be a new world order. What's that specifically called? I don't know.
This rhetoric is the exact same rhetoric that you read in the UN's Agenda 2030. I actually printed that out. I was reading through it. This is the exact same type of thing that they're trying to propose, right? This utopian-like society where everything's great and we have all of these organizations that are helping the world, pushing peace and prosperity. But in reality, we see when put into practice what this actually looks like. Look at our streets right now. Look at Democrat-run cities, if you will. Look at liberal policy actually put into play. Our entire country is in decay. decay. We're deteriorating from the inside. We have a president in office who is incapable of even forming a coherent sentence. A lot of people say that Joe Biden has, done a horrible job as president. Well, he's done a great job of one thing, destroying this country in record time.
Yeah, he did it really quickly, huh?
Yeah, really quick.
You
Really
got to give him
fast.
credit for that. I mean, wow.
It feels like it was tipping, and then he stepped into the pilot seat just as it fell off the ledge. Although they did oversee the printing of like $7 or $8 trillion in the last year and a half, which is terrible policy.
A little bit problematic, I would say.
You ever watch Mr. Magoo?
I call my dog Mr. Magoo.
You know Mr. Magoo, like he can't see, and so he's like bumbling around and like getting into all sorts of shenanigans. He's like an old man.
Oh yeah,
that's like
big bulbous nose.
Yeah, that's like
losing
Joe
his
Biden.
glasses.
Well, don't you feel though when you hear this that we've all been sold a lie? And I even got duped into this, being from Los Angeles, like actually born and raised in Southern California, right there. That there was this sort of lie that we were sold that is clearly unraveled now, that you could have this sort of liberalism in this mecca, that you could have your cake and eat it too. Like you could have money, you could have freedom, you could have immigration, you could have multiculturalism, and you could kind of create this bastion of utopia smack dab in a desert, right? Even your water, even though you don't have natural water sources, right in LA. And as we've seen it divulge over the years, is our develop and also then decline, is that it didn't end up really working that well, because obviously when you have all these cultures together, they ended up self-segregating. LA is one of the most segregated regions in the country. It is insane. It is to the point where you can like tell you where the Jews live, where the Mexicans live, where the El Salvadorians live.
Go to Chicago, go to New York.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying but I'm saying it, it obviously is touted as being diverse, but it's really segregated. Then the wealth disparity, there's a shrinking middle class. I mean, and the confusion, the laws are not enforced. It's pretty absolutely crazy. So I feel like genuinely this liberal world order, like you said, that they're doing away with, is an interesting way to get people complacent. Because when you create a liberal society that's not based on tradition or nationalism or values, but this idea of personal liberty, individualism, you start getting into your pot of choice, your vices, you get into your porn addictions, you pursue your career rather than family, and everyone is just kind of like fighting. They give up their guns. They're not focused on things like self-protection and gathering and self-sufficiency, etc. And then we end up kind of complacent.
There's a contradiction in there. I mean, people who believe in individualism and civil liberties don't give up their guns.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It literally was a deception, because that's what I'm saying. They gave us this form of liberalism, this absolute kind of their developed form of like, you can have peace in your countries, the wars won't be fought there, you can make a lot of money, things can be really good, your kids can all go to college. And then once we were all in these places, everyone's on anti-anxiety and antidepressant pills. People are unhappy. They're not satisfied with their lives. If you look at how happy people are, they're not full of joy. They're not content. They're not satisfied. We're very divided. And now we're all in this place where we don't have anything to unify us. We don't have a common religion, not even really a common language, because I'm not talking about Spanish. Like, have you ever heard someone under 16 talk?
Not lately.
I can't tell what they're talking about.
Yeah, but it's like most generations.
Leet speak.
Yeah. I just meant they divided us, so then they used it to weaken us.
Leet speak is a millennial thing, dude.
Yeah. Wait, what is this?
Yeet speak.
It's L33T. Leet speak. It's just the way you type like words faster with numbers.
1337, Ian.
Oh, interesting.
1337. My fault.
Yeah, but that's an internet culture thing that goes back a long time. I mean, if you're talking about the slang terms used by kids.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, though, is that language is changing in a way where it's like each generation can't even effectively communicate with each other, not just through language, but through the mediums are changing so rapidly. Even look at the app development and app usage based off of age range. I mean, we are divided and categorized to a point to where it's the perfect time to where we can't even agree on basic things, like on, people are still divided on what happened in 2020. People today can't even agree on the most basic science on what is a man, what is a woman. It's a perfect opportune time to retire the current liberalism and then institute whatever the hell you want, because we're too divided and too weak and complacent, I believe, to really effectively fight anything. Like, I don't think there's anything to fight for, or like we don't even know what we would be fighting to preserve. There's
a great meme right now where it shows the clip from the World Economic Forum saying you will own nothing and you will be happy. And then it says, journalists say the Great Reset is a conspiracy theory. And the next one is the Bloomberg article saying, give up meat for lentils.
Let your dog die.
Let your dog die.
Yeah. And you know what, Elijah?
And then people are like, you will own nothing and you'll be happy.
I wanted to hop in on what you were saying, too, on the entire manipulation of our language. So he and I were actually having a conversation on the way up here. And it's kind of insane how we now are saying biological male or biological female. Now we're saying actual science as opposed to what the left's version of science is. The language has been so manipulated now that, like Elijah said, in the common day, we can't even decide on what basic science is anymore.
Well, I kind of disagree. I think what happened is you have like American society moving up, and then at some point the left started budding off like some kind of fungus. Like I mean that like I don't mean that as disparaging. I mean literally like fungus buds and then separates.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. Like so people who are in the middle or on the right who believe words have meaning and history exists stayed going down the same path, following history, following the lessons of our ancestors, and then this new group of people split off. And they have a different language. They have a different worldview. They believe crazy things.
Different reality, really.
Totally different reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not. If you were to say that language changed, it would be to imply that those people have legitimacy. Now, I certainly think they control institutions. I certainly think that they.
How's it not legitimacy though? I mean, if you have power, that's what's kind of cool. Like,
well, that's their mentality. There's no truth but power. I disagree. I think they're completely illegitimate because they make up random words that are meaningless. And you ask a Supreme Court justice to define woman, and just I can't. And I'm like, okay, you're illegitimate and incompetent if you can't define a basic word. The same woman who said I can't define the word woman, literally a minute later said Roe v. Wade is about a woman's right to terminate a pregnancy. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You just said you didn't know what it was. You couldn't define the word. Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.